Clara stood quietly by the kitchen door, holding a warm homemade pie in her hands. The smell of roasted turkey and laughter filled the Daniels family home. Christmas lights twinkled across the walls, and voices echoed from the living room. Everyone was in high spirits, especially Vanessa. A loud honk came from outside. Heads turned toward the window. Vanessa had arrived, in a shiny new white Range Rover, ribbons still tied to the mirrors. She stepped out wearing a glittering red dress and high heels, her perfume filling the air before she even entered. Cameras flashed as cousins rushed to take pictures. Vanessa raised her hands dramatically and smiled. "Finally," she said, tossing her hair. "The car I deserve." Applause and cheers followed her words. Mrs. Daniels beamed with pride. "My daughter has done so well for herself," she said loudly, making sure everyone heard. Clara slipped in quietly through the back door, unnoticed at first. Her dress was plain but neat. She placed her pie on the table and greeted her mother softly. "Hello, Mom." Her mother gave her a quick nod without much warmth, already turning back toward Vanessa, who was showing everyone the car keys. Vanessa spotted Clara and smirked. "Oh, you came on the bus again?" she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You really need to start living like an adult." The room burst into laughter. Some guests looked at Clara with pity, others with amusement. Clara didn't look upset. She simply smiled a little and said quietly, "I'd rather drive peace than debt." The laughter stopped. The air grew heavy. Even Vanessa blinked, unsure what to say next. At that moment, a man sitting in the corner cleared his throat. It was Mr. Cooper, the family's lawyer. He had been waiting patiently through all the noise and chatter, his briefcase beside him. "If you're all ready," he said calmly, looking around the room, "we can begin." "Mr. Daniels left something important. Something none of you expected." The room fell silent. Forks paused midair. The sound of the ticking clock filled the space. Vanessa lowered her glass slowly, a small frown forming on her face. Clara's eyes softened. She wasn't expecting anything either, but she had always trusted her father's heart. Everyone stared at Mr. Cooper as he opened his folder. What secret had their father left behind? And who would it favor? 2 years earlier, the Daniels house was quiet except for the sound of machines beeping in Mr. Daniels' hospital room. He was very sick, weak, and fading fast. Clara sat beside his bed, gently wiping his forehead. Her eyes were tired, but full of care. She had taken time off from her small clinic job to stay with him, even though it meant losing part of her income. Every morning, she brought him his favorite tea and read him the newspaper, even when he was too weak to respond. Sometimes he would smile faintly and whisper, "You always take care of me, my Clara." Vanessa, on the other hand, only visited when she had time, or when she needed new pictures for her social media. She would arrive in bright clothes, holding expensive handbags, snapping selfies near the hospital bed. "I can't deal with hospitals," she once said, wrinkling her nose. "It ruins my aesthetic." Mr. Daniels would sigh, but never complained. Mrs. Daniels, their mother, acted like she didn't notice. She often said, "Vanessa is meant for greatness. She doesn't have time for all this sadness." Clara stayed quiet. She didn't argue. She just continued doing what her heart told her to do, to love her father until the very end. When Mr. Daniels passed away, the house felt emptier than ever. The morning after the funeral, Vanessa was already asking questions. "So what happens to the house? The business? Dad's savings?" she asked, pacing the living room with her phone in hand. Clara stood by the window, holding their father's old wristwatch. "I don't need anything else," she said softly. "Just this." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "You really have no ambition, Clara." Time passed. Life moved on, though not in the same way for both sisters. Clara went back to her work at the local clinic. She worked long shifts, often staying late to comfort old patients who reminded her of her father. She didn't have much money, but she had peace. Her coworkers respected her, and the children at the clinic loved her gentle nature. Every night, she wore her father's watch and whispered, "I hope I'm making you proud, Dad." Vanessa's life, however, grew louder and brighter. She signed brand deals, posted pictures with famous people, and was always dressed in luxury. She became a small online celebrity, always talking about living the dream. Her mother proudly shared Vanessa's posts with neighbors, calling her the successful one. Clara was hardly mentioned. When family members gathered, Vanessa loved to tease Clara about her simple life. "You work too hard for so little," she would say. "You should learn how to make money look good." Clara would just smile. "I prefer helping people who can't afford it," she'd reply. Everyone in the family believed Vanessa would inherit everything: the house, the business, and their father's savings. Even Mrs. Daniels often said, "Your father always wanted the best for Vanessa. She'll carry his name forward." Clara never argued. She didn't want to fight over property. To her, love was the only inheritance that mattered. But lately, people noticed something unusual. Mr. Cooper, the family lawyer, had been quietly visiting the Daniels home a few times after Mr. Daniels' death. He always looked thoughtful, carrying thick folders with him. No one paid much attention, assuming it was just paperwork. Only Clara remembered that her father had spoken to Mr. Cooper many times in private before he passed. When she once asked her father what they talked about, he had smiled and said, "Just making sure everything goes where it truly belongs." Now, sitting at the Christmas dinner table 2 years later, Mr. Cooper's calm and serious face gave Clara a strange feeling. Vanessa was still laughing loudly, bragging about her new car, certain she would soon control everything their father left behind. But Mr. Cooper's eyes told a different story, one that only he knew, one that was about to change everything. After dinner, everyone moved from the dining room to the living room. The air was still heavy with the smell of roasted chicken and perfume. Christmas music played softly in the background, but no one was really listening. All eyes were on Mr. Cooper, the family lawyer, who sat calmly with a brown folder on his lap. Vanessa settled comfortably on the sofa, crossing her legs, her face glowing with confidence. She was sure this moment would finally prove what she always believed, that she was her father's favorite. Her mother sat proudly beside her. Clara took the smaller chair near the window, quiet and unsure. She wasn't expecting anything. Mr. Cooper cleared his throat. "Thank you all for being here," he began politely. "Your father, Mr. Daniels, left a message and a will. He wanted this to be shared only when the whole family was present." He opened the folder and began reading. His voice was calm and respectful. "First, Mr. Daniels wanted to say how proud he was of both his daughters," the lawyer read. "He was thankful for the joy they brought into his life." Vanessa smiled proudly, sitting up straighter. "See," she whispered to her mother. But then Mr. Cooper paused and took a deep breath before continuing. "To my daughter Clara," he read slowly, "who cared for me when no one else did, I leave the business and the family house." The room went completely silent. Clara blinked, unsure she had heard correctly. The words echoed in her mind: the business and the family house. Vanessa's smile faded instantly. "What?" she said in disbelief. "That's not possible." Mrs. Daniels gasped and turned to Mr. Cooper. "There must be a mistake," she said quickly. "He wouldn't do that. Vanessa was always his shining star." But Mr. Cooper kept reading, his tone steady. "To my daughter Vanessa," he continued, "I leave the car I bought before my illness, to remind her that appearances fade, but responsibility doesn't." Everyone froze. Even the Christmas lights seemed to stop twinkling. Vanessa's face turned red. "A car? Just a car," she shouted. "After everything I've done to keep this family's image alive?" Her mother looked helpless, turning from one daughter to the other. "There must be more, Mr. Cooper. Please check again." Mr. Cooper closed the document carefully. "That is the full and final will, Mrs. Daniels. Your husband made these changes himself a few months before he passed. Everything was witnessed and signed properly." For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the crackling of the fireplace. Vanessa suddenly stood up, her hands shaking with anger. "This is ridiculous. Clara doesn't even want the business. She doesn't know how to handle it. This is all wrong." Clara looked down, her voice soft. "I never asked for it, Vanessa. You know that." Vanessa glared at her. "Don't pretend to be innocent. You must have talked him into this while he was sick." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't. I just stayed with him because he needed someone." Vanessa's lips trembled. She looked around the room. Everyone was staring at her, unsure what to say. Finally, she grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door. "I can't stay here," she snapped, her heels clicking loudly against the floor. "Enjoy your victory, Clara." The door slammed behind her, and the sound echoed through the quiet house. Mrs. Daniels sat still, her face pale. She didn't look at Clara. Mr. Cooper began packing his papers, speaking gently. Your father trusted his decision, Clara. He believed you would do the right thing. Clara nodded slowly, still stunned. She hadn't wanted any of this. Not the business, not the house, not the tension. All she ever wanted was peace. But as she sat there in the soft glow of the Christmas tree, she realized that peace might be the one thing she wouldn't get. Not tonight, and maybe not for a long time. The following days are brutal for Clara. The moment the news about the will spreads, everything changes. Vanessa starts posting on social media. She shares pictures of herself looking sad, with captions like, "Some people will steal even the dead's blessings." Her followers fill the comments with support. "You deserve better, Vanessa. How could your sister do that? She's jealous of you." People start whispering in town. At the clinic, Clara notices the looks. Some patients avoid her eyes. Others make quiet comments like, "That's the girl who took everything from her sister." At home, things are no better. Mrs. Daniels refuses to talk to her. When Clara greets her one morning, she just walks away, saying coldly, "You broke this family, Clara. You made your father change his will." Clara's heart aches. She tries to explain, but her mother doesn't want to hear it. Vanessa's words have poisoned everything. Every night, Clara lies awake thinking about giving everything back. She doesn't want the house. She doesn't want the business. She just wants peace. One evening, after a long, hard day at the clinic, she finds Attorney Cooper waiting outside her office. He's holding a small envelope and looks serious but kind. "I thought you might need someone to talk to," he says gently. Clara sighs. "Everyone thinks I did something wrong, Mr. Cooper. Maybe it would be better if I just signed everything over to Vanessa. Then this will all stop." He shakes his head. "Your father changed his will months before he died. He knew this might happen. He said you were the only one who still understood the value of kindness." Clara's eyes fill with tears. She covers her face and begins to cry. Mr. Cooper waits quietly beside her, giving her space to breathe. When she finally looks up, he says softly, "He was proud of you, Clara. You gave him love when everyone else gave him excuses. Don't let guilt take away what you earned through kindness." Clara nods, though her heart still feels heavy. Meanwhile, Vanessa is falling apart. Her online posts grow angrier. Her followers begin to notice her bitterness. She visits the lawyer's office demanding answers. "I want proof that my father really signed that will," she yells at Mr. Cooper. He remains calm. "It's all legal, Miss Daniels. Your father was of sound mind when he made his decision." Vanessa slams her hand on the desk. "You're lying. Clara must have manipulated him. She always acted so perfect. The good daughter, the saint." "Miss Daniels," Mr. Cooper says firmly, "please calm down. I can't release private documents without a court order." Vanessa storms out of the office, furious. Her pride, once her greatest armor, now feels like a heavy chain. Later that week, she shows up at her mother's house, crying and shaking. "Mom, she stole everything from me. Dad loved me too. Why would he do this?" Mrs. Daniels hugs her and whispers, "We'll make her pay." The next morning, Clara visits to check on her mother, unaware of what's waiting for her. As soon as she enters the house, Vanessa jumps to her feet. "You have some nerve showing up here," Vanessa shouts. Clara looks confused. "I came to see Mom. I haven't seen her in days." Her mother stands beside Vanessa, arms crossed. "You should leave, Clara. You've done enough damage." Clara's lips tremble. "Mom, please. I didn't do anything wrong. I loved Dad. That's all." Vanessa steps closer, her eyes full of anger. "You took everything from me," she screams. Clara's voice is soft but steady. "I took nothing, Vanessa. You just never noticed what I was giving." Vanessa scoffs. "Oh please, don't play the innocent one now. You always acted like you were better than me. Quiet, perfect, humble Clara." "I never wanted to be better than you," Clara whispers. "I just wanted to be kind." Her mother turns away, refusing to look at her. Tears burn in Clara's eyes. She realizes nothing she says will change their minds. Not now. She leaves the house slowly, her heart breaking with each step. Behind her, Vanessa slams the door again, the same way she did the night of the will reading. Days pass, and the pain grows heavier. Still, Clara goes to work, helps her patients, and tries to stay strong. At night, she often sits in her father's old chair, holding his watch, whispering to the silence, "I'm trying, Dad. I'm really trying." But deep inside, she knows the real storm hasn't even started yet. Vanessa hires a new lawyer, determined to fight back. She claims Clara tricked their father into changing the will while he was sick. Rumors spread quickly, and soon everyone in town knows about the family dispute. Clara receives a court notice a few days later. Her hands tremble as she reads it. Vanessa Daniels versus Clara Daniels. She never imagined her own sister would drag her to court. Attorney Cooper meets her at his office. "Don't be afraid, Clara," he says gently. "The truth is on your side." "I don't want to fight her," Clara says softly. "She's my sister." "I know," he replies, "but sometimes standing for what's right is the only way to bring peace." The day of the hearing arrives. The courtroom is full. Relatives, neighbors, even some of Vanessa's online followers have come to see what happens. Cameras wait outside the courthouse, flashing every few seconds. Clara sits quietly beside Attorney Cooper, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Across the room, Vanessa looks angry and proud, wearing a sharp suit and bright red lipstick. Her mother sits beside her, looking nervous. The judge enters and the room falls silent. Vanessa's lawyer stands first. "Your Honor," he begins, "we believe Clara Daniels manipulated her dying father to change the will in her favor. We will prove that emotional pressure led to this unfair decision." Clara's stomach twists. She glances at Mr. Cooper, who gives her a calm nod. Then it's his turn. "Your Honor," he says clearly, "Mr. Daniels made this choice with a clear mind and full heart. He loved both daughters, but he knew which one had stood by him when he was weakest, and he made sure his decision would never be questioned." He holds up a USB drive. This is a video message recorded by Mr. Daniels himself before he passed away. A hush falls over the courtroom. The judge nods for him to play it. On the screen, Mr. Daniels appears thin, pale, but calm. He's sitting in his favorite chair, wearing a soft smile. His voice is weak but steady. "Vanessa," he begins, "you always wanted to be seen. You believed success was proof of love." He pauses for breath. "Clara, you always wanted to serve. You believed love was proof of success." Tears gather in Clara's eyes as she watches her father's face. Mr. Daniels continues, "My dear girls, I pray one day you'll both see that love is the only inheritance that matters. I am proud of you both in different ways, but only one of you stood beside me when I had nothing left to give." He looks down, then lifts a small stack of papers. "When I fell ill, the company fell into debt. I was ready to close it, but Clara used her own savings to pay the workers and keep the business alive. She never told anyone, not even me at first. When I found out, I changed my will. I wanted her kindness to be remembered, not her silence to be forgotten." The video ends. The courtroom stays completely silent for several seconds. Then whispers begin to rise. "She saved the company," someone murmurs. All this time, Mrs. Daniels starts to cry quietly, covering her face with her hands. Vanessa's eyes widen. Her proud expression breaks, replaced by shock and shame. She looks at her sister, who is still sitting silently, tears running down her cheeks. The judge clears his throat. The evidence is clear. The will stands as valid and final. This court rules in favor of Clara Daniels. A few people in the courtroom clap softly. Clara doesn't smile. She only bows her head, whispering a quiet thank you. Vanessa lowers her face into her hands. She looks completely lost. Her mother gently puts an arm around her, but Vanessa doesn't respond. Outside the courthouse, reporters rush forward, shouting questions. "Clara, how does it feel to win?" "Vanessa, will you appeal the case?" Clara says nothing. She simply walks past them, holding her father's old watch tightly in her hand. Vanessa stands on the steps, her eyes filled with tears, watching her sister walk away. For the first time, she doesn't shout or pose for the cameras. She just stands there, silent, realizing too late that her father's love was never something to fight for. It had always been there, freely given. Clara gets into a taxi, looking out the window as the courthouse fades behind her. She doesn't feel victorious, only peaceful. The truth had spoken for itself, and her father's voice had finally brought light to the darkness. Months later, Clara rebuilds the business. Instead of keeping it as her father's old company, she changes it into something new, a small community clinic that helps people who can't afford medical care. Every weekend, She opens the doors for free checkups and treatment. The once empty building now feels alive again. Children laugh in the waiting area. Elderly people bless her as they leave. Clara smiles. For the first time, she feels her father would be proud. Attorney Cooper visits often, helping her with legal work and paperwork. He respects how hard she works and how kind she is to everyone. Slowly, their friendship begins to grow into something deeper. They share coffee in the evenings after clinic hours, talking about life, family, and forgiveness. Clara finally feels peace returning to her life. Meanwhile, Vanessa's world begins to fall apart. After the court case, her followers online turn against her. Her brand deals are cancelled, and her savings run out quickly. The glamorous life she once showed off disappears. She moves into a small apartment and avoids social media. Weeks pass. Then one evening, Clara is locking up the clinic when she hears a quiet voice behind her. Clara. She turns, it's Vanessa. Her sister looks tired and thinner, her makeup smudged, her pride gone. I didn't know where else to go, Vanessa says. I've lost everything, and I'm sorry. You did what I couldn't. You earned his love. Clara's eyes fill with tears. She steps forward and hugs her sister tightly. We both lost him, Vanessa, she whispers. Let's not lose each other too. Vanessa breaks down in her arms, crying like the little girl she once was. For the first time in years, there's no anger, no jealousy, only love. Later, Clara gives Vanessa a job helping at the clinic. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. Slowly, Vanessa learns to smile again. Not for the camera, but for real people. One Saturday morning, the sisters stand side by side, helping a line of patients. Mrs. Daniels walks in, holding a basket of food. She looks at her daughters with watery eyes and says, "Your father would be so proud of you both." Clara and Vanessa glance at each other and smile. The pain of the past hasn't vanished, but it has softened, replaced by something stronger, forgiveness. Outside, the sun rises high over the clinic's sign. Daniel's Care, a place for healing. Clara takes a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the light. For the first time, she isn't living in her father's shadow. She's carrying his love forward. And beside her, Vanessa finally walks in step, not as a rival, but as a sister once more. That it's Christmas again a year later. A modest dinner fills Clara's small home with laughter, warmth, and love. The table isn't fancy, but it's full of simple food and happy faces. Vanessa moves around the table, serving food with a gentle smile. There are no designer gifts, no cameras, just family. Their mother watches quietly, tears glistening in her eyes. For the first time in years, her daughters are together. Not fighting, but laughing like when they were little. Attorney Cooper arrives, carrying a small wrapped box. He hands it to Clara with a kind smile. Your father asked me to keep this safe, he says. He said you'd need it when your time finally came. Clara opens the box and gasps softly. It's her father's old wristwatch, now repaired and shining again. She smiles and slips it on her wrist, whispering, "Thank you, Dad." Everyone sits down to eat. The air feels peaceful. Vanessa lifts her glass and looks at Clara. To the sister who taught me that love isn't bought, it's earned. The family clinks glasses. Clara smiles, her heart finally light. Outside, soft Christmas lights glow through the window. No luxury, no noise, just peace, forgiveness, and love. In that small living room, the Daniels family is whole again. Hi besties. Sparkling heart, thank you so much for watching till the end. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional stories like this. See you in the next one. Bye. Waving hand.